Good morning, it's Jeff Christian from CPM Group. It's Friday morning, the 16th of April, about 10 o'clock in New York. I wanted to talk a little bit today about what we're going to call readable silver premia. Keep the presentation a little bit short and focused here. You know, in the sidebar that is the discussion about silver that's going on with new investors or investors who are new to silver and such. One of the things that keeps coming up is, there's no silver bars, and even the 1,000-ounce good delivery bars are scarce. That's not actually the case. There's record amounts of 1,000-ounce bars stacked up in London, Zurich, New York, Shanghai, and other countries. There was a guy who Bloomberg interviewed this week talking about building a 480 million ounce capacity silver depository in Singapore. He acted as if there was nothing like that in the world, but he's just marketing himself. In fact, there are several of them just in the United States alone, but also in Switzerland and London, and outside of London in the UK, and actually about 60 spread throughout China, if the number's correct. That we've been given. So there's a lot of silver around. And when we come out with our silver yearbook on May 11th, we're going to be updating our estimates of how much silver is in bullion form. And it's probably around 3.3 billion ounces. That's not including 1.8 billion ounces in silver coins. So when people say, oh my God, we have a shortage of silver, you may have a shortage of silver, but the world doesn't. Anyway, part of that whole discussion is that with these shortages, the premia have shot up and people are charging 10%, 12%, 14% for 1,000-ounce bars, which is outrageous. And it's great because you've got these guys who are trying to dupe the investment public and saying, there's this shortage and we can squeeze the market and we can drive the price to $100 or $200. Because they don't understand the liquidity in the silver market. And the silver market's so tight, there's no bars around. There's no unallocated silver left in London, even though the London bullion market in a report this week said there's about 500 million ounces of unallocated silver, or rather silver that's not allocated to ETFs in the London market alone. There's about 725 million ounces of silver that is allocated to ETFs in London. And should some of those people say, gee, I bought at $15 2 years ago, I think I'll sell at $26. That can come into the market on a moment's notice. Click of a button on a computer nowadays. And there's another 500 million ounces in London that is not allocated to ETFs. So there's a lot of silver around there. And if you want it, you can get it. These two charts show the premia that are available. We're grateful to Trade, which is one of the best and most legitimate companies we know in the world in terms of providing precious metals. And a lot of times we work with them when we're buying or selling or storing metal for our clients. And these are the premia really over the last decade, since 2012. That Trade charges. On the left-hand side, you have the percentage, and you can see for much of the last decade, the premia for silver 1,000-ounce bars has been about 1%. Got it up to almost 2% in 2015, 2016, came back down. It has shot up since July of 2019, when the current bull market for gold and silver began. And it got up to about 2.6%, came back down to about 1.5%, and it's about 2.3% right now. The right-hand chart shows to you in cents per ounce. So for much of the last 10 years, it's been about 20 cents. It has shot up to 40 cents and then 60 cents, and it's a little bit under 60 cents an ounce right now. 60 cents at $26 is a smaller percentage than it would be at $15 2 years ago. So these are reasonable premia that are available for 1,000-ounce bars. So when you hear a guy say, hey, this silver market's really tight, And you can't even get 1,000-ounce bars, but we have some, but we have to charge you about 10 or 14% for them. Call Fidelity. They're not paying me to advertise, but the reality is that if you go into the honest part of the silver market, you can find silver at reasonable prices. You're going to pay more for coins and small bars because those things are in tight supply because of the way the refineries that make the small bars and the national mints that make the coins have been operating since the pandemic started. You will be paying a higher premium for those. But if you want a 1,000-ounce bar, these are reasonable premium. We mentioned last week that we were creating a retail investor program. You can go to cpmgroup.com now and click on our, I think it's called our products, and you will find information about CPM Group's retail investor programs. And you can go to our store and you can sign up for it. Package, right now we've created a relatively lower price package that includes research reports, consulting, and participating in what we are going to launch as our Challenge Your Assumptions open forums. The first Challenge Your Assumption open forum we hope to launch this quarter still. We're looking at our calendars and trying to figure out when and how to do that. And it'll be free and open to the public. After that, it goes behind the paywall. And those people who are our clients, including people who have signed up for the retail investor program, will have access to it. And it's basically 1 or 2 hours where you can ask us questions and we can give you answers, and we can discuss things that you want to discuss as opposed to giving you a presentation and then letting you ask questions about the presentation. That comes on May 11th when we launch our Silver Yearbook. And our Silver Yearbook, about 200 pages, a lot of data, a lot of statistics. It will include an expanded section on the silver bullion inventories that we estimate are in the world, and the silver inventories in jewelry and decorative and religious object form that is around the world. So it's 3 billion ounces here, 2 billion ounces there, 25 billion ounces there when it comes to jewelry and decorative items and silverware. 25 billion ounces of silver estimated to be in those things. And there's a steady dribble, as I talked about last week, of that stuff getting melted down and reused into new jewelry and decorative objects around the world, from Mexico and the United States to India and Thailand. You can pre-order the Silver Yearbook at our website, the CPM store. You can order the Gold Yearbook, which was released in May. We'll be coming out with our Platinum Group Metals Yearbook in July. In the meantime, expect a lot of silly things being said about silver and gold and platinum in the world, because that's the way the precious metals markets work. It's the Wild West of financial markets, and anybody can stand up and say anything. Enjoy yourself, have a good weekend, stay clean, be good to each other, be good to yourself, and we'll talk next week.